I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good morning. It's Tuesday, August 31st, 2021. We're in the Mitchell County Courthouse for the Mitchell County Supervisors meeting. Doing it a little different today. We've got 3 of us here and 2 of us hopefully are online. Jim and Steve are listening.
I'm here, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm here.
Okay. And as King Henry VIII said to each of his 6 wives, I won't keep you long. So the first item is approval of the agenda.
I'll approve the agenda, Mark.
Okay. Steve's approved it.
I'll second.
Todd has seconded it. Roll call. Oh, we'll just do a voice call for this one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
And opposed? Item number 2, approve the minutes of the August 24th meeting. You have the minutes in front of you, if you want to take a peek.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Mike has moved to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Steve a second. Rachel?
Any discussion? Roll call. Todd?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Item number 3, county attorney, general discussion.
I'm waiting for Steve to say, Mark, are you there?
Mark, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I don't have anything unless you have some questions for me. The only thing I would say, I've had a lot of calls, I've had a lot of emails with some of the supervisors, with Rachel, on this time clock issue. It's my opinion that the supervisors, because of their limited jurisdiction, do not have the authority to require county employees to use the electronic time clock. But I'm certainly of the opinion that Rachel's office, because that's an ministerial task, has the authority to say, listen, if you want to get paid, this is how you need to do it, because if you don't do it, you don't have any record. And she's got the authority to do that. It's not a substantive change, it's an administerial change. And she's got authority to do that, in my opinion. So, people may not like it. The supervisors may, if a person's making less than that dollar amount and you require people to punch time clocks, then you're going to have to pay them overtime. But in my opinion, if anybody calls me up, I'm going to say, yep, Rachel has the authority to do that. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a done deal.
Well, that's good.
All right. Anything else?
Mark, can you stay on for a little bit for the department head discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I guess we'll go to sheriff's update.
Good morning, everyone. It says HVAC update. However, all I can tell you on that is they have been to the shop and flew the exterior, and I think they did whatever it is they do in the basement to kind of see what they're dealing with. That's all I know at this point.
Yeah.
So,
I have some information about that.
good. Jim, I'll yield to you.
Okay, so I sent the supervisors email yesterday in regards to a bunch of information that they've been sending. And their engineer also sent something late yesterday. I just saw it this morning. I forwarded that to all the supervisors also this morning. Basically, where they're at is their design team is starting to, in the design phase of doing it. They had 3 scenarios that they at the most, the best one for Mitchell County is what they call scenario 3. And what that's going to be is utilize the geothermal system off of the courthouse and tap into that to help cool the sheriff's office. They feel that that system is adequately sized for cooling both buildings. For very cold days, there might be some problems with heating. So what they will do is they'll put boilers, backup boilers, you could say, in the sheriff's office, which is tied to the geothermal system, and then that will help heat both buildings when we have these really cold days. He said that he can attend a Board of Supervisors meeting if you want him to sit down and go over all of this. That's an option. I think they kind of want to get moving on it also if they can. He has no change in the estimate range as far as what he has proposed earlier. And they're also going to start contacting contractors in order to start drumming up business and not business, but drum up interest in this project for when things are going to happen in that respect. So, any questions from anybody?
No, I read through that too, and it's you know, it's kind of self-explanatory, but it looks like they got a good plan, I thought.
I think so, yeah.
Is that dollar amount you're saying between 5 and a million? 500,000 and a million? Is that what?
Yeah, he didn't, right now he's still in that range, and I know that's a big spread, but until they start getting something designed and, I suppose also talk to these contractors to see what their thoughts are. You know, he can't get it narrowed down until we're further along with this.
Okay.
And then at the bottom of the email I sent you today, I think that was in yesterday's also, he lists their, it's where they're at with the project as far as the design stage, and so that's some information for you guys also to kind of see where we're at in the progress of this project. I guess that's the way to put it, progress of what he's doing.
They look like he's gonna simplify it a little bit, isn't he? In the basement?
Simplify it.
Yeah, in the basement. Didn't he thought it was a little over?
I guess I don't have that answer. The system that he's designing is maybe a little more complex, but it's also a little less in maintenance also. But it's the most efficient of all of them, and it's so I don't know what. Maybe simplify it compared to what we have. I don't have that answer, Mark. I don't know. I just go by what he's proposing.
All right. Steve, anything?
Well, I think Jim just kind of answered your question, didn't he, Mark? It's being more efficient so that it does simplify it. Wouldn't that be
Yeah.
more? But yeah, I think go for it. It sounds like you got a good plan going.
I get, so the question comes up, you guys want him to come to a Board of Supervisors meeting and discuss this, or do you want me to just give more information as far as where he's at, and you'd like to review it that way? What's the board's thought?
I'm
I think
okay
the
with,
latter will work fine.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
okay
think
with you.
keep moving forward.
Keep
and-
moving, yep.
And if you need our help, you gotta reach out to us.
Okay, so, you know, he had some questions before, and I had some questions for him before, and he answered those. I sent that to you guys also.
Yep.
So I don't want to make it seem as if I'm just running with this, but it also sometimes if you have 5 people involved with something, it can also maybe be a little more confusing. So I'm trying to keep everybody informed as we go, and by all means, if you guys have questions, you need to ask.
And keep David Harto in the picture on this too, because
Correct.
David is far sharper than any of us on a lot of this.
That is 100% correct.
Yep,
Yeah.
sooner get it done, or get going on it, sooner we'll get it done, I guess.
Yep, I'd say keep moving on. It looks like it's going in the right direction. I mean,
Okay, all right. That's all I had.
Anything else, Sheriff?
No, sir, I don't have any more unless you guys do for me. Thank you.
Okay, number 5, department head discussion.
I had printed out sample, kind of what I put together for an ad for the paper for the IT director, as well as job description. Just wondering if you guys had a chance to look at that, if we'd be able to get it to the papers. EJ goes out on Saturday and then the press is next Tuesday.
yeah, I guess I looked at it, I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah, I did too, and I think the sooner we get it out, we can start getting applicants in, so. Okay with that?
Sure, yep. Casey, have anybody in mind or thought about, he knows people or not, or? Yeah,
I don't know.
sure, no?
Rachel, we'll have to figure out the salary range here and
Yep.
or when that comes up. And I did look at the ISAC thing that you sent out. Kate's currently under the statewide average, but as far as in our local area, he's paid fairly well. So we're gonna have to figure something out as far as what we're gonna do with that. There will be people gonna be asking questions when they, that's the one thing people wanna know is, well, what am I gonna get paid to do this? So we'll have to figure that out.
Yep.
Yeah, I suppose some of that'll be based on experience and, too, you know.
Correct.
Is there a starting wage, or? No?
Not right now.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how they did it when he was hired. He was taken from Bart Baldwin and split into like my position and his position. And then I'm not sure if you guys want to also talk about, once we do get applications in, if a couple of you want to sit in on the interviews to do that. I mean, I can sit there and take notes for you, but,
Yeah. That'd be good for a couple, but.
I mean, they'd technically be right under you guys.
Yep. I think it'd be a good idea if a couple of us did, or a couple, I mean, I can, or I volunteer, or anybody else,
Sure.
or if you want me to or don't want me, I don't
No,
care.
that's fine. I've been in on the economic development hirees and stuff, so if two of you wanna take that, I'm fine. If you need one more, I could do it too, so.
Sure.
We can,
Discuss it as it
Yeah.
gets closer?
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right.
and before, Rich, you get started, Amanda would like,
Okay, sure. Amanda?
So I just wanted to give kind of like a report of something that I came across yesterday. I went up to Totterville to the address 1671 468th Street. And I originally went there for the moving of a septic system due to the fact that it is failing, and quickly realized that a lot of the problem is due to storm water, the lack of stormwater drainage in the town. I have some pictures that I will pass around to you guys. I don't have duplicates, I'm sorry, so you'll have to just pass those around. Also let me note that she has also been dealing with this for 6 years, and she has been contacting my department for the last 6 years, and there hasn't really been anything done. The surface water on the property is causing a lot of major issues to her septic system, including the fact that the water that sits on her property is doing what water naturally does, and it is eroding her property. And as of right now, all of her septic lines, except for one, and she has 3 in there, are currently exposed, fully and currently exposed. Due to this, we have to relocate her septic lines, which we were fully 100% able to figure out a situation for that. And were able to do that. However, I think that if there was originally a storm drain outlet, that could have ran south of town to what looks like is a natural occurring like waterway, this whole issue that she's going through could have been 100% avoided. But again, she's been dealing with this for the last 6 years, and I don't think it has been brought to the attention of anybody within those 6 years. So I just wanted to bring it to the attention that I'm trying to do my due diligence for her and kind of let her know that, and we did walk this whole entire street, there is no outlet on either side. However, the only side of this street that has pooling is her side. And I guess the entire block is not entirely happy with how this is happening. So, I guess more so just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention that I feel that this is a really important problem. Having to relocate a septic system is not cheap by any means. Luckily, her tank is in good shape and her pump is working just fine, so it's realistically just the leach fields. But due to this being in town and Totterville being a county issue, I think that this is something that is actually pretty important to take care of. And I do realize that in the amount of time that we got 12 inches of rain, that doesn't happen very often. However, she says that anytime it rains, doesn't matter how much it is, there's pooling regardless, and I can understand that because her leach field is 100% saturated. We took a hole and we dug it yesterday, and you go 6 inches down and you have water flowing consistently. So I think that's something that's important, that could possibly be taken care of. It doesn't have to happen right away. I also told her that it may not happen, and she understands that, but she just wanted it to be known that this has been an issue that has been occurring at her property for the last 6 years.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How old is her leach field?
How old is it?
Yes.
It's not entirely old. I haven't actually looked up the records on them.
Okay.
I probably should have done that, but I didn't have time
Okay.
yesterday
I
or
just
this
wondered.
morning. I do know that her leach field was installed by a previous owner. It was not done by a contractor, so that could also take effect.
Okay.
However, with the tank being in really good condition, them installing a pump, and knowing exactly how many feet of leach field should have been put in, I don't think that they were completely clueless when they installed it. Also, the leach field is at a certain depth that is consistent with how it should be through state guidelines. So,
You don't know what, I know the dome leach field works a
Yep.
lot better than the tube in the sock,
Yep.
and I don't know what, if it's the tube in the sock, it could be plugged, it could be, you know.
right.
And I'm sure you realize that too.
Yes,
but-
I do, yeah. And I couldn't get in there and
Yeah,
like
to
cut
find
it
out,
open
yeah.
and look at what's going on, but,
That one tree looks like it's kind of right, the water was down when I went through there,
Yeah.
but there is that big old oak tree or whatever that could interfere with some of the leach field, I would guess,
Yeah.
I don't know, but.
so you're definitely right. The only thing with trees is the ones that are the most impeding are actually willows. So, any type of tree will try and get its roots, obviously, to the place where it's gonna get its most nutrients. They like leach fields. However, a lot of the time, roots do not impede, on the leach fields themselves unless they are willows or, I believe, ash trees. So, those oaks shouldn't take a huge part in why this leach field is the way it is. And I don't think that they should be exposed by any means. And again, this is a 6-year problem. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't just happen with this rain. So, yeah. I just think it's something important that possibly could be done. And I also told her that if you guys wanted her to come in, she would be more than willing to speak to you guys and kind of tell you more of the background of how she has been dealing with this. But
Rich, there's no storm drains in Totterville, is
It's
there?
all rural drainage like a lot of little towns.
Right.
It's
Just,
How old is the system? You said she's had a problem for 6 years. When was it replaced? Was it 6 years ago?
I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah.
I haven't
I mean,
pulled
'cause
up
that
the
could be-
records yet. I didn't have time yesterday, unfortunately, and I just went out to this property yesterday morning, so I'll have to pull up the records. I can get you guys that,
Okay. I
today, if any.
don't, in areas where it's wet and they think there's gonna be a problem, don't they put in the mound system then? Is that an
Not
option?
necessarily.
Not necessarily,
No,
but I
not
didn't know if that was an
necessarily.
option in this case. If it has to be
Yeah.
redone, maybe the mound system would work better.
Probably not.
I don't know. I don't
No,
know.
we're actually gonna move her leach field, so we're gonna have to, rip up a lot of her backyard. She's gonna have to take out fencing. She does have a, dog boarding facility. However, she doesn't use that much water. She said she actually uses like a lot less than she anticipates most of the time, especially during the week. She doesn't have, I think she has 6 dogs there right now. She says that she never washes any of the feces down the drains. She always picks those up. So that I don't feel is a problem, but we are going to have to move that septic system through her backyard, which impedes on a part of her dog boarding facility, which she is fine with. She just wants the problem taken care of at this point. So that was kind of the plan. But yeah, mound systems,
Yeah, I don't know, I just
Yeah.
was asking if
Yeah.
it's low ground and you got a problem, I
she
think.
has really, really good soil,
She does.
which should not be an issue for draining. We dug a 2-foot hole yesterday in a spot that we're gonna put her leach field, and it's all sand.
Oh, sand,
so
well, it should drain. then,
It
yeah.
should drain, yeah.
I don't know if anybody else in Totterville has a problem, or is it just this?
So pretty much it's her block.
It's her block.
Yeah, so the people that live on her street and up the street, they all receive that water, and it definitely is an issue, I think.
Yeah,
Again, I wasn't there, I was supposed to go there on Friday, but we were getting a lot of rain, so I don't think it would have been a great day to go out. It probably actually would have been better for this case, but I went yesterday morning and a lot of the water had receded. She still had some water sitting in those leach field lines, but, with the pictures that you guys saw, there's quite a bit of water there.
oh, yeah.
And again, on a normal year, we don't get 12 inches of rain in the amount of time that we did, but I just think it would be helpful that if there was a system to at least help drain that water. And you can't do it on
I
the
have a
other side
question.
of the road.
I have a question, and I can get in
Yeah.
here.
Yep,
Is this kitty corner from the, I don't have the map, so I'm trying to figure out, is this kitty corner from the church? Is that where this is at?
yes it is.
And so the proposal is to put an intake and then run it south to the waterway? That's what the thought is?
That would be my best guess, yes, that would be a good plan, I think.
Okay, and just to remind everybody, Rich, I would like you to get on board with this. We design systems for 4-inch rain in an hour, correct? We don't design for 9, 10, 12-inch rain, is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, all right.
When I drove up there, I went south from her place to the, as far as I could, and there really is no ditch. It's all kind of lawn right up to the church parking lot and then right
Yeah.
up to the street.
Yeah, there is no ditches.
No, so it really isn't even hardly a natural flow to that ditch either, but we talked yesterday, that 10, 12 inches of rain, you can't prepare for that, but I don't know what other guys' thoughts are on it. There is, if you drive up there, well, you guys probably have all been there. There's a lot of houses just in there. I mean, they're kind of built in the alleyway, you know, and again, Townerville's not very big, but, so there's probably a lot of, each house has its own septic, I suppose. Each house has its own leach field, so there's a lot of stuff going on just in that one little block.
So, and again, there may be a way to go about making this happen, and there may not be. I just figure I would bring it to your attention, since
Yep.
I don't think it has been brought to anybody's attention in the last 6 years, and that to me is an issue. And I think that at least bringing it up is a start, so.
Probably nothing, road department.
I mean, I would definitely go in Toonerville and look, it's just that, you know, you've got an old town that the roads kind of just get built on top of, and with, you know, over time, maybe there were some small swales, and over time, they get filled in with sand and all kinds of things that, yeah, the drainage just, you know, doesn't kind of get away, I guess, without knowing the plat of the town and knowing how the water was gonna drain. I mean, hard to say. I mean, most of the water that's probably being collected isn't from the roadway so much as the private property, but the water still has to get away somehow.
Yeah, and it depends on where.
And
You know, if
even
that
in town,
property's the
you're
lowest
probably
property in that block and you get a lot of rain, it's all gonna come her way, you
Yep,
know?
and unfortunately, she is at the bottom.
You were
She-
correct.
She is on
I-
a downward slope.
Yeah,
Pretty much her whole entire property
Is the
her
lowest.
house sits up, and then everything else is pretty much a downward slope into the corners of her property.
Yeah.
So all of the houses above her, all of that water
Comes.
runs right through her leach field, and then it runs right into that corner,
Yeah.
of the pictures that you guys saw, where the tree is, and there's like a little wheelbarrow. So, I don't know if you guys can do anything, but again, I just wanted to bring it to your attention,
Yeah.
I feel like it's pretty important.
Yep.
That's all I have.
I'll look at it too, just to see what if I have an idea, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it'd be
Let's take a look at it, and we could kind of maybe take another look at it down the road and see if there's,
I guess,
Something
the
we-
question, you know, my biggest question is, why is it 6 years all of a sudden there's a problem and it hasn't been prior to? And I hate saying that
Yeah.
because it means that I'm not lightening the subject at all, but
Right.
we seem to get that now that we've been getting more rains the last 10 years. Now drainage is a problem. There's nothing been really done to the roads in the last 6 years that would have changed any elevations in town.
Yep.
If she's sitting on sand, you'd think it would drain rather well.
Yeah, you would think.
But, and being not fully saturated this year,
Yeah, no, it
ironic,
was,
but,
yeah,
you
it
know,
was
if you're
dry.
sitting on a sand seam
but-
that's taking water from upstream, it could be
Right.
saturated underneath it, you just can't see
And
it.
if you're the lowest spot in that block, everything's coming your way, you know?
Right.
That's, water runs downhill, you know? But, yeah, we'll have to look at it and I suppose she's gonna have somebody look at her drain field and see what can be done there,
That's what we
right?
did yesterday. Yep, we remapped her drain field to be able to move it. It's a difficult task trying to locate septic leach fields while you're in town.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of room,
Not a lot
which
of
is
room,
why
no.
we're putting it more closer to the east side of her backyard, and she has to take some fence down, but again, she's ready to get it taken care of. She's happy with it. I have a contractor that is happy with it. They just need to set up a time. He's
Okay.
pretty busy, and she understands that, but we did relocate it, so.
Okay, as long as she's gonna rip it up, would it be good to fill it in, you know, build it up, make it higher? I don't know. Is
Yep.
that
Yeah,
something that?
I trust this contractor, so,
Okay,
yeah, I think he's
Okay.
gonna do a great job.
Okay.
We're all on the same page. She did have a different contractor, and, a previous county employee that was in my position, go out and look at it, and from what I gathered, they pretty much told her that there was nothing they could do. And so, that also is something that you just don't, you always find a way.
Right.
Or you at least try to.
correct.
I was there for an hour and I found a way, so I think,
Okay.
yeah,
It's good.
so. That's all.
okay, thanks.
All righty. Number 6, county engineer update.
Morning,
Morning.
flooding.
Yes,
Who
it was.
wants to talk about flooding? Not me. We're assessing what we've got. I know we're fixing stuff right now. Really, we only have one major issue right now, and it's a bridge on Stillwater. Todd, you called me about that yesterday when we talked. You know, I did another investigation yesterday, and there's a problem now with, we thought we could dump some stiff concrete down there. I think there's probably a suck hole happening underneath the back wall planking, but the material's gone and the dead man cables are now gone. So the dead man cables are what hold the back wall back from tipping in. these old bridges, this bridge, by how it's built, was built on a gravel road. There's no paving notch. Paving notch is what holds the approach slab onto the bridge so it doesn't settle. Well, the panels right now are just kind of hanging in place. They could fall whenever they want. There's no paving notch. And so it's closed. I'm having WHKS come in this afternoon to come look at it because we're going to need to figure out the bridges. It's a bridge that's not completely bad yet, but it's in that borderline of what do we want to do with this bridge, because the substructure is rated as poor, then you get okay, and the, above it's fine, so the bottom part's what's bad. But what do we want to stick into this bridge? I know we want to get this road back opened up, but we got to make sure that we don't want to start putting backfill in here and not having them dead man tied back, because you backfill it, you run the risk of pushing that wall over, and then you've got a failed bridge. So I don't have any numbers or estimates for what that's going to cost yet, because we just got to look at it and find out. To me, it was going to be a simple fix: pull the panels out, backfill it. With those cables being broke, we'll have to figure out a way to dead man that back wall back and find out what that's going to cost. But all the other stuff, I think we maybe had one plastic pipe float, so we replaced, getting that fixed, and everything else is just water scour off, taking rock off the road, and we're out recovering that stuff and putting new rock back on. My estimate right now, we could be pushing 200,000, just based on rock and time and labor and all the other stuff. I talked to some neighboring counties, and their estimates are different, but we don't have their road system. We don't know how their roads are set up compared to ours. We just know what we have and how we're estimating things. I know we're not declared in anything yet, so I don't know. I haven't gotten anything back to Chris Olson yet, but I want to make sure we're getting the maps put together today, so once we get a amount of locations, I know one blade operator has 60 locations just in his territory, the other one might have 60, but as we move further to the west, it got lighter and lighter as far as damage went. So considering how much rain we got in this event, we could have been a lot worse. I think what saved us is having a full stand of healthy crops, slowed the water down, and then being dry to begin with. That first round of 2 inches or whatever may have started soaking in and got the rivers to the normal flows, and then whatever came kind of flooded us. But just talking to some other, at least talking to Howard County, we both agree it could have been a lot worse, but thankfully it's not. We do have that bridge to consider. We got to get that figured out. So I know that whole Stillwater area down there, we've got, that water came over the road again and started washing that out. We might have some roadway panels to replace because it sloughed off. The last time we had done work there, we had put flowable mortar in there to kind of beef things up, and then that kind of scours out again. It shouldn't have, but it got underneath the flowable mortar and it took those pieces away. So I don't know. There's things we can do to try to stabilize that. If we're going to do this once every 6 years, do we stick a bunch of money into it? We're still going to lose whatever we choose. We're probably still going to lose shoulder rock and soil, but how deep do we get the scour holes is probably what we want to look at. So for the time being, we're bringing everything back up to the edge, and we can look at something later. It looks like the root systems for the grass on the 4 slopes out there held everything together quite well. When they're recovering the rock and stuff, there seems to be a stand of grass, but there's some locations where last time we had flooding, there was a lot of large concretes put back in as fill, and the concrete stayed, but everything that was in between the concrete got washed out. So we're trying to pull that material back in. So just the nature of the beast in that area, that the road's designed to be the overflow for the bridge, so you don't take the bridge out when you get flooding. You can't raise the road any higher. You risk running taking the bridge out. So that is the spillway for that area, but so you got that stretch and you got the bridge there. That's the biggest location, I think. And then up north of there on a gravel road, we had some scour. We got a few hundred feet of replacement of material and rock put back down again. But all in all, I think everything is passable except for that bridge. It might not be repaired yet, but you got at least one lane to get through with a vehicle until we can get there and get it fixed.
So what's the address? That was Stillwater?
That's the Stillwater down by Shadow Avenue, by Wagner Trucking. It's just west of Wagner Trucking.
The big bridge?
Okay.
No, the little bridge. There's a little bridge west of there. The big bridge is okay.
Oh.
But that's the one that we were talking about when we were trying to get that funding. Is that was
Yeah.
one bridge that's the very narrow bridge on a curve that's going to be really expensive to replace when the time comes, and that time is coming sooner than we want. But
I was actually hoping it was this one, and then maybe if there was some relief for it. But I see our county's not even in it right now.
no, and I don't know how they declared that. And what the declaration I saw, it seemed like it was opening for state funding for individuals and not necessarily.
I mean, if they declare a disaster, I would assume that it would apply to the governmental agencies too, but what I read was just for private grants and loans for people with damaged cars and things like that. That's what I read anyway, I don't know any more
So
about
must
that.
be the same one I
And
read.
Chris can probably give us an update later on in the week, once he finds more out too from EMA, but.
Just a question, because I'm new, you know, that road is pretty well-traveled with the trucking and the select farms, and so I just don't know how important is that road to open that bridge back up? I mean, is that something, I mean, you were on the county, is that a road that we should focus on, or?
Probably a long ways around, isn't it, the next?
That's
Well,
what
you gotta
I'm
go up.
thinking.
Yeah, you got the, if you gotta, if you run up Shadow and you gotta come back around and down, I think that's I don't know if that's, is that just,
And Shadow's all gravel, right?
Yeah,
But, you'd have to go to,
yeah, it's
Elm.
a mile up and a mile down to get around that bridge and get back on, up, over, down again by the map. Then you can get back on the road. The roadway itself is open again. I mean, it's just that you can't get through that bridge, so you gotta take that.
I don't think there's any restricted bridge on that mile, is there? There's a
I
box
don't
culvert,
believe so.
cement box up.
But the goal is to get that's the main focus. Once
Okay.
I figure out something here, we gotta get it fixed.
because if you go north, isn't there a level B, or a road where it isn't always plowed?
Yeah,
Or is that 2 miles yet?
it's 330th, I don't have that, but 330th is up there, so you take Shadow North and over and back down Rampart to get around that bridge, and 330th is in decent shape. I mean, we can continue to maintain that while we're getting traffic around it. It's not like our level Bs in the county aren't maintaining, they're in good shape
Yeah.
usually Yep. anyway, so. Other than having to detour around it, the focus is to try to get something done with it. And if
Okay.
all it might be is, we might have to take more pavement out, come back and bury some beams or something with some cables as a tieback, we'll know more. It might be something similar to what we had to do on the reload bridge on 370th when it flooded a few years back, where we had to put some dead men back into, and it might be different. Typically, what they were built with, they would drive some wooden poles, wooden piling in the ground, and then tie cables, and then they'd tie the back wall with those. And I don't know if the cables broke due to something falling, the soil falling on them, they could be rusted out or whatever, but two of them are hanging with nothing attached, the other one's really loose, so.
Okay.
So we're gonna get our maps put together and get some estimates put together. I don't know if they'll declare anything or not, but we've got about depending on what the bridge is gonna cost, we could be looking at $250,000, but, I guess.
How much did you say, Rich?
Don't quote me because I don't have anything, but I'm just shooting off the hip at at 250,000. I know,
Okay.
I talked to the Howard County engineer and he didn't have quite that much, but our road system is different than theirs. We've got different streams and stuff, so I don't know. It seemed like it was worse further south and east to us anyway, but we still have what we have. We still have scoured roads that need material put back on them, so. Without getting.
I'm not gonna quote you on that, I just didn't hear what you said.
No, I'm sorry, yeah. That's just, trying to compare it to I think we did something in 2019, I think we had some flooding, and that was around a little over $200,000. And there weren't any structures that were, impaired by it, so having the structure on this one adds a little bit more money. Just a shot in the hip based on past experiences, without any putting real numbers to it, but, that's kind of where I'm thinking we're at. And we're getting the map put together as we speak, but we're also doing the repairs too, so. Whether or not FEMA comes through, it's still gotta get done.
Correct, yeah.
Did have an interview last week for the weed commissioner. Was maybe thinking we get some more applications in, but we just don't. So I might come back to you guys next week with a recommendation on a weed commissioner and get that position filled. And in the meantime, we've got the advertisement out there for a secondary roads employee. So finalizing the annual report. There's a lot of numbers and a lot of things going on with the annual report. We're talking about funding Hickory and Kirkwood with local dollars, right now, those projects are in the program as farm to market, knowing that the farm to market money would have to be reimbursed with local funds, because there's not enough farm to market money in it right now. Our current farm to market balance is about $330,000, $320,000. Definitely not enough to do any projects. Our borrow ahead estimate is about $3 million. So we can borrow $3 million ahead in our farm to market account, which is still not enough to do each of those projects. My current carryover balance, and remember that the carryover balance has projects that aren't done in it yet. My carryover balance for fiscal year 21 looks like it's going to be around 3.4 million. Now the difference is we anticipated 1.2 million. Difference is now is that we've had about we had a light winter, so we saved on fuel and some on salt sand. Well, I guess not salt and sand so much, but the labor and the fuel and stuff we saved money on. We didn't get, it's always a crapshoot on what we're going to use for materials throughout the year. So we had about $655,000 in savings in the categories. We didn't pay for certain bills because I thought certain categories were going to come in a little high and I didn't want to overrun my budget. So we did end up moving some of those costs into fiscal 22. So while we say we saved $655,000 in fiscal 21, those costs are still coming out of fiscal 22. Out of that extra money also was the Underwood Bridge, was $760,000, which never got spent last year. It'll get spent this year, so we'll have that cost coming out of there too. So while you see there's a balance carryover, that money still's got to come carry over to pay for the bills this year too. But going through some real rough numbers, realistically, there could be some money available to help out of secondary roads to help fund maybe Hickory, if Hickory is going to be around that $900,000 or less. There could be a balance carryover from secondary roads that we wouldn't have to use TIF or FM money for. We could probably fund that project through the local money. I hate doing that because what we got anticipated down for construction and maintenance this year would have put our balance. I kind of did a budget amendment roughly in my DOT program, and with carrying things over and putting projects where they need to be, we'd be looking at a $1.7 million carryover for the end of fiscal 22, which gives me that I have about, I don't like carrying less than $1 million over because you never know what's going to happen. But if we could provide funds towards the project, and depending on what the projects come in at, it could be that we'd have a carryover balance of next year $700,000. But it all depends on what comes in for revenues and what we spend throughout the year anyway. So it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be short at the end of the year. So there's that. The other question is, what do we fund the larger project with? Do we use TIF dollars? Do we use farm to market? And I know we've gone through this before with burying the farm to market account. If we do that, I still need about, just in next year's budget, I need about 1.2 million of my farm to market balance for obligated projects. Well, one specifically, I need 600,000 just for one project that's scheduled. Now, if we bury the farm to market account, we got to start pushing projects back following years, and hopefully what we have to do can sustain that delay in project costs or delay in repairs. So, food for thought right now. We can probably provide maybe up to $1 million towards the total project costs. But keep in mind, we still have right-of-way purchases and consulting fees to deal with. So, but we can do, Jim, I know you asked whether we could let projects and tie them together, and we can do that. It's been done before. If we do any farm to market funding, everything does have to go through the DOT letting. But we could also, if we were not going to use any farm to market funds and do all local, we could do a local letting and tie the two projects together with different divisions and cover it that way too. So.
There isn't any word on that federal infrastructure money coming? I haven't heard anything. I don't know where that's gonna funnel down to, or I don't know when that will, because it could be a windfall there too.
Well,
if,
windfall, and then what do they want you to use it for?
Well, yeah, right.
Just like this ARP money, we still don't have any clear definition of what we can use ARP money for, if we can at all. However, she's not here.
Oh.
That project could be something you guys look at. That's stormwater.
Oh, that could.
That could be something you guys can look at if you've got a problem in Tuberville.
Okay.
Could be.
Do you think there is a storm sewer or,
Well-
from, in Totterville? I don't know do people complain about?
Down the main drag through town, there's culverts and it runs
Right.
through the
You're
regular
right, that
ditches, but
does,
in
yeah.
town, everything's surface drainage, but.
Yeah, there is no ditches in that
Yeah.
block and,
I mean, it's one block, and, ditch ran all the way to the highway south, and then I turn in and go by that church, and I'm surprised there isn't more, just because of how level
Yeah,
everything is.
Everything's flat.
But again, Totterville's probably been years since I've been to Totterville, so I just don't know. I like that idea, though, if there were some funds out there.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that, I know other counties are using their funds for subdivision type drainage improvements
Okay.
for that type of thing.
yeah.
I have not heard of any counties using any money for really anything else. Very little that I can tell in secondary roads. A lot of it seems to be more conservation related or detention or infrastructure in rural subdivisions to pool stormwater for water quality, like I can't remember what they call them now. They're a detention basin to clean the water before it enters the stream. It's more of a water garden type retention system. That doesn't work in the rural area for us. We've got enough farm drainage that it really wouldn't matter.
Right.
But
Yeah.
but that could be if there is an issue in Totterville, just as a spark, it could be a way to, whether it costs 10,000 or whatever, there could be a way to alleviate some issues in town.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Probably, what do you think, 2 blocks to the drainage ditch?
Yeah, it ain't that far,
Two, maybe. I mean, you still have that,
where you just put an intake in.
probably another block
Well,
to
that's
the
the other
north
thing, too.
towards the
That's all
railroad
that'd have to
tracks,
be
yeah,
determined.
but, I mean, from that gal's house, that block, it's probably another block and a half to that drainage
Yeah.
ditch. That might not be a bad thing to look at.
Yeah,
and
it wouldn't be
See
that.
if it would go through.
What about at the intersection where the church is? Are there culverts as far as under the road to drain that? Or is it, in the years, when the whole county was set up, we went through drainage a lot as far as the engineers department. When the county was set up, when they set it up, they were very good as far as getting drainage to go where it needed to go. And then over the years, people like to fill their ditch in so they can mow it. I don't know if that's happening here or not.
Well, or even
I'd
park.
be interested in knowing if there's culvert in that intersection, to spend 10 grand for, I hate to downside something, because when somebody has a problem, I want to fix the problem, I really do. But sometimes problems have been created because people have changed the situation from when it originally was designed. And so I think the person needs to look at both sides of that too. I don't know what's happened there. I may have looked at it one other time myself. I don't know. I've looked at a lot of situations, but I think we need to look at both sides of what maybe has happened there.
And it's hard to say, Jim, too, that, when the city of Totterville was platted, was there any, nowadays when they do a subdivision, they've got drainage, stormwater, or they have sewer and water and everything platted out on a set of plans, and when they develop things, there's probably not much to look at for a Totterville cross-section of a plan of how they were doing the city streets. They dedicated the right-of-way, built a road, and maybe a little swale, and that was it. Probably wouldn't hurt to try to see if you go out there with a metal detector and find a metal culvert somewhere, but who knows how long, to find out how they designed the water to flow through town. That might be a difficult task, not impossible. We'll have to look at it, but either way, this problem probably needs to figure out how to get solved some way or the other to get the water away. But yeah, that's not always.
I want to solve people's problems. I don't want to tell them.
No, I know what you're saying,
that I
Jim.
don't. But it's always easy to say, well, all of a sudden now we have a 10-inch rain and we're flooded and you need to solve our problem. Well, it doesn't work that way.
Right. No. Yep. And we get those phone calls still, and you know that. So.
Yep.
But definitely, I'll put some eyes on it too to see. I'll be driving through there anyway, so I can look at it and see, and we'll try to do some, maybe we can find something in the old plan sets that might indicate how drainage was supposed to work. Maybe it was all supposed to drain towards the main road and out, I don't know. Where that location is, it looks like it's all surface drainage down to the west of the church and then down to the stream, but
Again, there may be a resolution to this, but it isn't going to be at the county's expense.
Thank you, Steve.
Say that again, Steve, what was that?
There could be a resolution to what you're doing, but it shouldn't be at the county's expense.
Well, it's probably would be, Porterville's not an incorporated town, so.
that's a good
Correct.
point.
But on the other hand, if people filled in their ditches and things have changed over the years, that doesn't make it our problem.
Well, the argument to that, Steve, is that if that happened years ago, maybe it should have been controlled a little bit better. There should have been permissions granted to fill in ditches. I know the city of St. Ansgar deals with that too, where you need to really control people doing what they feel they want to do because they want to do it versus what's better for the community in general. And if filling in the ditch was great to park your vehicle on or so you could mow, but it didn't do much for drainage, then that should have been controlled years and years. And I'm not saying, I don't know how many years ago those ditches, there probably haven't been ditches in there for 30 years or more, who knows? But the control probably just got lost. We focus on the main roads through town and sometimes the little roads just get forgotten. But I don't remember when the last time, that was seal coated through town or whatever, when that was, Jim might remember, but, I think there is, as far as draining the roadway surfaces, there is a responsibility in an unincorporated town, I think, on the county side.
Mr. Horgan?
The county that serves the unincorporated towns, I understand the need for that, but they certainly must have some original set of rules as to what you can do. The city of St. Ansgar also has rules about what we should do in our drainage, but the councils through the years have been the good old boy thing of, yeah, you'd like a nice place, we'll let you have that. Well, that's a bad plan.
And that certainly
You
happens.
lose all your water movement and detention areas, and then you got really big problems. I think the board should also take in hand what should be done.
And I had mentioned to Amanda yesterday about talking about this, because maybe when we would go in there and do the main road, if there was anything that we could do with whoever does that, if there's a little bit of a drainage ditch we could put in, we could do that at the same time while somebody's up there.
Well, and I would probably maybe caution against that. I think we could probably do that with our own crews. We'd probably spend more money having a subcontractor working on our road project, trying to come in and do something in the town. We could, if there is some ditching or something that needed to be done, we could probably look to doing a ditch clean, if you will, on our own versus
Okay.
having somebody else in there. We're geared up for some small things like that, but.
Okay, if you guys have the time or whatever.
Well, it's
I
just,
think
we gotta
need to
figure
do-
out a plan as to
Yeah.
what we're gonna actually do and figure out how to solve the problem, and then we'll figure out, where it goes from there. When will that take place? Don't wanna keep people flooding forever, but,
Yeah.
So we could probably take a peek at it and come back next week with some
try to take a look
information.
at it, yeah. There's some nice tools with LiDAR and finding out which way the water's supposed to go, and just putting a set of eyeballs on it helps too. But, sitting here in this chair right now thinking, well, the simplest thing is to put a intake in, run a tile to the stream and be done with it, because it'll take the surface water and drain it away. But does that solve the problem for, But if you want to start ditching, now you got to start talking about culverts, and now you're talking some real money.
And the people across the street will want it.
Yep.
And you gotta keep going up.
Up and up.
You got to start.
Driveways to go across and everything, yeah, you're talking.
I guess. take
Then
a
we're
peek.
talking curb and gutter, and now. But no,
So I guess take a peek at her and.
yeah, we'll take a
talk.
look at it and see if there's something that.
All right.
think that's all I've got for you guys this morning.
Do you have anything, Steve?
I guess.
Okay. Yep, that should,
All right.
all right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Number 7, approve fireworks permit. We got a fireworks permit for Taylor Hanson, 4387 Highway 218. Requested 9/4/21 from 9 to 11:30. It's gonna be some big fireworks.
And I'm not familiar with this place. Does anybody know where that's at?
I can't think of what it's called. Is it Echo Ridge, the new subdivision that, what is it, Schultz's have, just north of Simeon Skirt? Like
Oh.
Gray Miller's, they have that, I wanna say it's maybe just a little north of there on the west side of 218.
Just up
Echo.
there, past the trout stream.
Yeah, yeah,
Huh.
in that general area.
Okay.
Well, I'll move to make a motion to approve it.
Todd has made a motion.
I'll second that.
Mike has seconded that. Rachel?
Any further discussion?
I do, quickly, I'm sorry, but, I noticed we've been doing a lot of fireworks. Is this kind of normal from previous?
Yeah, and like this weekend, I mean, being Labor Day, people usually do
Okay.
something. I wanna say they also have the Sportsman's one that was previously approved is also this weekend.
Okay.
All right, roll call. Todd?
Yep.
Mark?
Yes.
Mike?
Aye.
Steve?
All right.
Jim?
Aye.
All right, on to number 8, discussion and possible action on live stream video meetings. I guess I put this one on there. I come from last week when we had, Steve was on the phone again, and Jim saw a call, and between last week and when we had the 10-hour days discussion, there's been a lot of, usually 3 to 4 secondary road guys on the phone listening and or watching. So I just thought if this would eliminate the chance to watch it or keep it a little more, so they're doing their job rather than have the, to watch it rather than, or listen rather than doing what they're supposed to be doing maybe.
Well, I'll make a comment on that too.
It'll leave the temptation.
Right. I don't understand what's so pressing that they've got to know about things right now as they go. But you can also look at it from the standpoint, it's not much different than grabbing your cell phone, putting your earbud in and listening to music. If you're going to listen to a talk show or whatever on the radio, it's the same thing. However, I don't quite understand what the urgency is to have to listen live. And, you know, it really, as being part of the public, they are part of the public, but they're also doing their job, and they should be doing their job. But there's that also, if they're watching it, that's different. If they're watching, they shouldn't be. If they're listening to it, that's a different story altogether. So I don't, you know, they've been informed that they shouldn't be doing this during work hours. There's always that, you can listen to it at lunch, you can listen to it at home. I don't know what the urgency is, but you've got to look at it from kind of two different sides and say, is it different than listening to a talk show on the radio or whatever? And that's my piece. That's, you know, what you guys want to do with live streaming, that's fine. But
I know after that was brought up on the video, it wasn't 5 minutes, and it got from Riceville to St. Ansgar to Osage.
yeah.
And
I
it's
don't-
amazing how fast that can,
Complaining.
how, and how fast that can travel. I know when they were seal coating or with a hot patch deal, the guy who was in the pickup behind, he had to be yelled at a few times to keep moving forward because he was watching it on his phone. And that's not a very good, safe
No,
manner
that is
to,
not, and I did not know that.
yeah, so it,
I think if you guys choose to do that, that's probably a good idea. Or, I don't know if there's any other options to just give the people that are on the agenda the code to, if they can't be here, dial in, whatever. I mean, there's-
Yeah, we kind of talked about that. So we used to still video it, put it up after the meeting was done on the website. And then we could always have the option, I don't know how hard it is to switch, like the go-to meeting ID, or like.
It'd be a new one if you make it.
Yeah, we just have to create a new one there, and then if someone honestly couldn't be here in person, then just give it to that person. Email it to
The
them.
only other issue with that is, so you put it live, or you record it, then what happens, you put it online at 10 o'clock,
Then
you
they go
don't
look at it
know
then.
who's looking at it
Yeah.
after 10 o'clock, you don't,
Mhm.
you know.
Or if we put it on after 5 o'clock.
Right.
I don't know.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yep.
Okay, this is more of a public health. I would hate to see these go away because a lot of times we're so busy, I can't make it to the meeting, but I really like to jump on when I'm able to listen in, especially with the department head being on the agenda. I mean, if there's something I'd like to pipe in on or listen to, I'd like to be able to listen live. So it'd be really too bad if that got taken away for us to be able to do that.
I'm not sure that's your intent.
Laura, I'll comment on that. You as the department head, you also said for us, and I don't really feel that us is the correct word there. You as the department head, yes, but us means more than you in that department, and I guess I don't agree with that.
I guess I was referring to myself.
Okay, well, you said us, and so that made me think that there's more than the department head listening in your department. And that same thing with the secondary roads. I have no problem with department heads hearing what we're doing here. That's fine. And it's unfortunate because I bounced around on this quite a bit as far as I think it's very important that the public knows what's going on. Totally do. But it's very unfortunate when a number of individuals have possibly ruined that for the public. I got a big problem with secondary roads, and as far as doing this, I think they've possibly ruined something for a lot of other people. So I get talking back and forth on this topic a lot as far as what's right to do and what's actually not what's right to do. I guess that's just a comment. I don't really know where to go with that.
Well, I like the idea of it being out there for the public, but phone calls during our meetings is unacceptable. And I don't know who it is, but there has been, and that's just unacceptable. You guys, if you were talking the roads, county roads, you got a job to do. Let's just keep moving forward. If you have it on the phone or the radio, that's fine, but you're getting paid to work. And calling people that are here at the meeting during the meeting is just completely unacceptable. I'm confused on that. And that's just my 2 cents, you know. It's a bit.
And my investigation on the last phone call was it was an accidental dial.
Yes.
I don't know that for sure. I was told it was an accidental dial to the auditor's office.
And I do.
know sometimes the employees will call the auditor's office if they got a question about something with benefits or something of that nature. I don't know exactly what time the call came in, but there are instances where the guys will call. They should be doing it when they're on their break or at lunch. I don't know exactly what time that call was, but I agree, they shouldn't be on their phones while they're working, they should be paying attention to the task at hand, and that is something that these guys need to be a little bit more responsible for. And I guess we maybe need to try to enforce a phone policy a little bit more in secondary roads. I just don't know how do you enforce it? You're not out there watching every person every day, following them around, making sure they're not on their phone. And that's the difficult part of the policy.
I'll back him up. I do still have the voicemail saved. It was like a minute long, and you can tell it was a butt dial or something hit it. It wasn't anyone needing anything. They didn't even know it was on there, obviously.
True, yeah. I know last spring Jim asked Rich how soon you'd expect the guys to get out in the morning, and it was, 10, 15 minutes?
I said around 20, yeah.
And I know that 4 of them are still hanging around for an hour around the gray table.
Well, and I don't know whether it's around the gray table or not. I know that
there are discussions that take place after the orders go through, and sometimes some operators stick around, either help the mechanic quick or do some other things before they head out. I did see that data as well, and I will be talking to the guys.
Now, how we enforce that, because you're only there 2.5 days a week, then we gotta go, should be on the road foreman, and if he's not pulling his weight, then,
Well, he can't be in every shop either, but you need to keep that in, you're right.
because we're losing a good employee. And I talked to him last night, and he brought the point, we've lost 4 employees out of the Osage shop. And we've all come out of the Osage shop.
We lost 4.
Yeah, you want me to name them?
No, I'm trying to think of who they all are.
And that usually never happened in the past. Usually they're to retirement,
Yeah, it's surprising when
but
people,
and when they all come out of the Osage shop bailing out, that kind of anyway, that's
the-
so anyway.
I have a question for Casey. Casey there?
Yes,
Yep.
yes, she is.
Casey, so here's an alternative to this problem. You know, I'm virtual right at the moment, and I can see everybody who's on virtual. I can see the names, except for 2. One is caller 02 and one is guest. So when you accept the caller or the people that are signing in, do you accept every single one of them, or is it automatically just come up?
No, it's public, so you can put whatever name you want when you call in.
So, is it possible that we only accept the people that actually have their names shown, so we can monitor as far as who is?
No, there's no rule you can put that you have to, I mean, there's no way to enforce, I could log in and say my name's Todd Prime. The only thing you can do is, you can make it private and just monitor, and I guess regulate who you give out that private key to.
And Jim, this is Mark Walk. I would stay away from that. You're running a risk of saying, I was excluded from the meeting. It was an open meeting. It was open to the public. It's a violation of the open meeting law. I just wouldn't risk it. If it's going to be available, it needs to be available to anyone who wants to sign in.
Okay, I agree with that, yes, okay.
I think you just gotta make your department heads enforce whatever policy they have. If they don't, if you guys don't want them on the call, then department heads have to enforce that. I think that'd be your best case scenario.
I'd be fine with that too, and I don't mind if anybody listening in, but let's do our task that we're getting paid for, and.
That's the difficult part is, are they listening or watching? You don't know when you got broadcast for life. I would like to hope that if they are on there listening and still doing their job, if you're in a motor grader, is it different than listening to the radio? Probably not. But if you're out being traffic control for the crew and you're out watching it, that's a different story altogether, and that shouldn't be, that is not acceptable. That's a safety message.
And I'll weigh in something that Mark had said, and I can verify that also. So I declined that call last week, and I won't say how I know this, but I do know this happened. It was through discussion. Same thing as what Mark had said. As soon as I declined that call, there were cell phone calls going around through secondary roads department as far as, were you watching the video? Were you watching the video?
Yeah, I heard that same thing.
It's not that they just have an earbud in their ear listening to the radio. It's that, bam, when something happens, then we get this call system going on throughout the department. As far as, well, did you hear that? Did you hear what they just said there? So that's what I'm upset about as far as, they're not just listening. It's kind of a meeting within a meeting, what's going on.
Yes, I agree. That's not acceptable.
No, it's not.
Well, how about we?
Well, I say, well, my personal opinion, I want this to be open to the public, because I think that's super important. And, I might just bring my computer up to my desk up there when we have meetings, and I'm gonna see who's online, and if there's a bunch of random viewers, I won't know who it is, but at least I'll know if we got a lot of people. There again, I don't know where to go with this, but it's just kind of upsetting.
Well, I guess it turned over to Doc to find out that, hey, this is actually happening. The hard part is how do we control it, you know?
Correct.
Yes.
We're in
Did
the
you,
age of cell phones, and the access to anything is so easy. How do we control the cell phone use?
it's gonna be tough. Did you notice anybody dropping off, Jim, here recently?
With this meeting,
Yes.
no, when we were earlier in the meeting, there were a number of other people here, and then some of them dropped off. I think it had to do with the topics at hand, and, pretty much, it's been this group here, and, you know, guests are one that just listed as caller. Well, that's okay. I mean, I want people to know what we're doing, but,
True.
the other thing is not right.
Excuse me. So keep it on then for now and try to corral it?
And try to corral this.
Yeah, and I think all department heads need to maybe address it. And I'm only one, but I'd say we address this in a week or two and just see how it's going. I mean, it definitely is a problem, as we can see, so.
I think it would be unfortunate that the rest of us got punished for something that not everybody's having an issue with. And like I said, a lot of times I'm listening in because I really wanted to be at the meeting in person today, and I couldn't because it's been extremely busy this morning. So I was able to get on, but I wouldn't have been able to do that if we wouldn't have been having it online.
Yep, we totally understand that.
Well, have we solved this issue?
We've talked enough about it.
All right, well, we'll move on to the county home update. Jim?
They moved on site last week. I mentioned the time capsule to them. They felt that it was kind of a risky situation to just remove that cornerstone with the excavator, so they took some air hammers and air hammered it out, laid it down on its side, and there was a copper box inside there. I was going to put the copper box on my desk there this morning, but I'm not there this morning, so it's in my trunk, and we will have to figure out, the people of Mitchell County are going to have to figure out what they want to do as far as to open that, how they want to go about doing it. It's pretty, it was pretty neat. It was, whoever made that cornerstone made the bottom open. I mean, it made the opening just the same size almost as that copper box, and then they used a little wedge to hold it up in there so that when they set it in place, it stayed up in there. It was a pretty neat deal. And the Sopops have the cornerstone at one of their facilities. I told them, just keep it in a safe place. Secondary roads come out and get it sometime when we figure out what we want to do with it. I figured they were going to start hammering the thing down today, but I see the excavator is gone. I went up there last night to see what it looked like, and excavator's gone. I suppose they're on call for the railroad, and they may have had a railroad issue that they had to run to, and so they're not there. Nothing has happened as far as demolition. Any questions?
Is that Valdo Rivera? Is that who we got to get a hold of to put her on TV?
Say again?
Is that, who's that? Valdo Rivera had them? Geraldo?
Geraldo, there you go.
Had that,
Yeah, call him up.
yep, I'll get a hold of him.
Good.
All right, well, thank you very much. Anything else for Jim on the county home? No?
I guess the
I
rain
think-
might have delayed them too, you know.
Yeah, they probably, I'm sure they may have had water problems too somewhere to.
Jim, I'll just kind of wait for you to contact us if you need material out there when they get to backfilling.
Yeah, we're, that's a little ways out, so you got.
Okay.
Items of note, meetings attended. Todd,
I had none.
Mike,
I had a substance abuse coalition board meeting, and they're gonna be printing some brochures to Prairie Ridges to be passed around the county. And I also had a Mitchell County Board of Health meeting in St. Ansgar. Just had the kind of just regular stuff, and the active cases of COVID are going up in the county. I think everybody knows that, so that's when they're doing vaccination clinics at the two schools. I think one's September 1st, the school from 2 to 6, and St. Ansgar will be September 6th from 2 to 6. For anybody 12 years and older, and any adults, or, you know, anybody walk in. So,
September 6th. Just out of curiosity, that's
yeah.
Labor Day.
Oh. Okay. That's
Maybe
what
that's August, so
yeah,
nothing matters.
okay. That's what I wrote down. Maybe I wrote down the wrong date then. Maybe that's the 7th. Sorry, yeah. 2 to 6. Right. Anyway, Laura, are you still on there? Maybe you can correct me on that.
I am, can you hear me?
Yeah, but so when is St. Ansgar? I had wrote down September 6th. Is that?
Yeah, Old Age is this Wednesday, the 1st.
Okay.
And then St. Ansgar's is the 8th.
The 8th. Okay, sorry. I had the wrong number wrote down.
Public, anybody can come.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Hope you have a good turnout. Okay, that's 2 meetings I had.
I had none. Steve?
Yes, I had a Wapsie watershed meeting, and discussed on there was the Quasqueton, or however you say the name of that town. They had a flood resilience plan, and the work that was being done for that town is done. Discussed also was the project coordinator update, which is Ross and Tori, and discussed they have 28 projects in the works, 3 to be bid out, and it's for water quality, not just flood control. Also discussed was the Wapsie membership, and the big thing is money again. They have 32 members, and we only gave, I think, 350, right, Rachel?
I'd have to double check, but that sounds right.
Yeah, I think it is. Well, we didn't give the full 600 they wanted, so we're going to get a letter from them again. This is a problem for me because everything is done down there from Highway 20 and south, or right in that vicinity of Independence. Nothing really happens for us up here. I discussed this with Dean Eastman because being that I was sick and I wasn't going to go to the meeting, I wanted him to let him know why I wasn't there. He says, I don't go to them. And nothing happens for us up here, I'm not going. And we're not sending money. So I pretty much got the reason why I hadn't seen Dean Eastman at any of them meetings. But anyways, there was a discussion from the Iowa Flood Center, water quality, nitrates. We are the first WMA to get done with our studies. another thing that was brought up was that Iowa Flood Control Center may get an award for their work on November 8th, 9th, or 10th. Anyways, that was my meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Jim, anything?
I went to an old State Municipal Utilities meeting to discuss natural gas with them, and then it also came up as far as the broadband project in Orchard. They have submitted their proposals to the, wherever they want to get the grant from, I can't remember the title of it. And they're awaiting funding to try to keep moving forward on that project. That's all I had.
All righty. Clerk of Court report for July. We've got a report here from Stacy Olson for $2,131.92.
That's a so noted, Mark.
So noted. Thank you, Steve. Manure management update.
All right, I have a few. Hogville Corp Site, 4147 Hickory Avenue, St. Ansgar. ProNet Farms Inc. Site, 4950 Primrose Avenue, Stacyville. Cooper Hog Site 1, 1960 410th Street, Osage. Iowa Select Tucker Finisher, 3024 State Line Street, Riceville. Wheeler Finisher Farm, 4755 Addison Avenue, Riceville. And Cooper Hog Site 3, 4186 Kirkwood Avenue, Osage.
All righty, perfect, thank you. Public comments? None.
I'll move to adjourn.
Todd has made a motion.
I'll second.
Hang on, Steve. Todd has made a motion to adjourn. Steve at second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Nay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. So much for my Henry VIII.